longtime close aide to Hillary Clinton, has written a new book. There we go. Has written a new book that says she was sexually assaulted by a U.S. senator, an incident she buried until allegations against the Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh triggered her memory. Right. Now, Abedin made the shocking claim in a memoir, Both and A Life of Many Worlds, which will be published next week. The Guardian, where I got much of this information, obtained a copy. Abedin does not name the senator or his party or give any other clues as to his identity. You can bet your bottom dollar he was a Democrat, because if he was a Republican, that she'd have said it yesterday or 10 years ago. Now, Abedin details her alleged assault while describing her work for Clinton when the former First Lady and future Secretary of State and presidential candidate was a U.S. Senator from New York City, or from the state of New York, rather. That was between 2001 and 2009. That's when Clinton was a senator, and Abedin worked for her. The passage comes shortly after a description of how Abedin and the Clintons came to attend Donald Trump's wedding to his third wife, Melania, in Palm Beach, Florida. That was in January of 2005. So we're talking more than 16 years ago this happened. Okay? Now, on that occasion, Abedin, who was born in Michigan but grew up in Saudi Arabia, writes, "I felt I was at an Arab wedding back home." Then, after describing a Washington dinner attended by a few senators and their aides, but not Clinton, Abedin writes, "I ended up walking out with one of the senators, and soon we stopped in front of his building, and he invited me in for coffee. Once inside, he told me to make myself comfortable on the couch." She says the senator took off his blazer, rolled up his sleeves, and made coffee while they continued to talk. Then, in an instant, it all changed. He plopped down to my right, put his left arm around my shoulder, and kissed me, pushing his tongue into my mouth, pressing me back on the sofa. I was so utterly shocked, I pushed him away. All I wanted was for the last 10 seconds to be erased. Abedin writes that the senator seemed surprised, but apologized and said he misread her all this time. As she considered how to leave without this ending badly, she writes, the senator asked if she wanted to stay. Then I said something only a 20-something version of me would have said, "I'm sorry," and walked out, trying to appear as nonchalant as possible. Now, Abedin writes that she kept away from the senator for a few days, but then ran into him on Capitol Hill, nodding when he asked if they were still friends, nodding yes to the affirmative. Clinton then joined them, Abedin writes, as if she knew I needed rescuing, although I hadn't told her anything about the night. Abedin writes that she stayed friendly with the senator and soon buried the incident, which she wanted to forget, succeedingly erasing it from her mind entirely. Here's my question. If you're an attractive 20-something woman and an old man invites you up to his place, air quotes, for coffee, tells you to make yourself comfortable, you sit down on a sofa, then he comes up to you and makes a pass at you, you're shocked? Why in God's name would an old man invite an attractive young woman back to his place? It's the oldest trick in the book. This wasn't sexual abuse. This was some dopey gal who wants to sell a book. That's what it is. Plain and simple. Now, you think I may be wrong? Well, let's continue. Late in 2018, Justice Kavanaugh was nominated to the Supreme Court by Donald Trump. A professor, Christine Blasey Ford, you remember her, accused Kavanaugh of sexual abuse at a party many years earlier, although Kavanaugh denied it. Now, although Kavanaugh became a leading symbol for the Me Too era, in which allegations of sexual misconduct and assault have brought down prominent men, Republicans did not waver in their support for his appointment, and he was dutifully confirmed to the court. Abedin's memory of her experience on the unnamed senator's couch, she writes, was triggered when she read about Blasey Ford's being accused of conveniently remembering her alleged assault. In other words, then Abedin conveniently remembered her alleged assault. Earlier this month, in an excerpt from the book published by Vogue, dealt with Abedin's experiences when her husband, the former congressman and New York mayoral candidate Anthony Weiner, became embroiled in repeated sex scandal over sexually explicit behavior on social media. And by the way, Abedin and Weiner are estranged but not divorced. That's right. She filed for divorce, but then she pulled the filing away. So she's not filed for a divorce. According to this story, they're estranged. I don't know what that means, but she's still married to him. So think about it. Here's a gal who, an old man invites a attractive 20-something-year-old up to, after a wedding reception, a party where both of them had probably been drinking. That's what you do at wedding receptions. Hey, you want to come to my place for a drink? Why, sure, I'd love to. What does she think they're going to do? I know what he thinks they're going to do. Make yourself comfortable, he says. And she does. What do you think that means? Then he makes a pass at her and she's just shocked. And then she forgets about it until some news story comes up where the dirty Republicans have done something else bad. Friends, this is a book deal. That's all it is. And am I helping? Maybe. You've heard about this. Maybe you'll buy her book. That's up to you. But Abedin, to say she's disingenuous is being kind. Oh, and then again, by the way, she's still married to Anthony Weiner. Those of you who say she's not, don't trust me. Research it and find out yourself. Door number 2. The Chicago Blackhawks and hockey players. Now, I've never heard of homosexuality and hockey players used in the same sentence before. But here we go. Many of you may have heard this, especially you sports fans, okay? The Blackhawks sexual abuse case is explained here in this story, well written by a guy named Wahi Al-Baroudi. He's with CBS Sports, okay? And this was just from yesterday. So this is fresh. And it gives an account day by day as to how this story transpired. Now, the Chicago Blackhawks have made headlines all for the wrong reasons this week, as an independent investigation found the team's senior executives waited 3 weeks to take action against a former video coach who sexually assaulted a player, and I'll say allegedly, in 2010. General Manager Stan Bowman, Scotty's son, I believe, and a senior director of hockey administrations, Al McIsaac, both stepped down from the team after a 107-page report went public on Tuesday. And Florida Panthers coach Joe Quenneville, who coached the Blackhawks for 11 years, including in 2010, resigned after meeting with NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman on Thursday. The NHL fined the Blackhawks $2 million for their handling of the allegations. And again, here's a chronological look at the case and what happened to those involved. May 9th and 10th, 2010. Former Blackhawks center Kyle Beach and video coach Brad Aldrich allegedly engaged in a sexual encounter during the team's Western Conference Finals series against the San Jose Sharks. Now, Aldrich told investigators that the encounter was consensual, but Beach said it was entirely non-consensual. Now, according to the report, Aldrich told Beach he would never play in the NFL or walk again if he didn't act like he enjoyed the sexual encounter. Aldrich then forced himself upon Beach. Now, that's during 2 days, so maybe it happened more than once. So I'm not sure if it says May 9th, 8th, and 9th. So maybe it's one or the other. Maybe it's both. I don't know. May 12th through the 19th, 2010. Beach confides in the skills coach. Now, later in the Sharks series, Beach told Blackhawks skills coach Paul Vincent about the incident with Aldrich. Vincent, according to Beach, not the investigators, reported Beach's claim to the Blackhawks front office, but Aldrich kept his job through the team's Stanley Cup run. Beach described Vincent as an amazing man who tried to do everything he could back then, but the Blackhawks' inaction after discovering the allegations made Beach feel like he didn't exist. May 23rd, 2010. In a Blackhawks senior staff meeting, McIsaac learns of the alleged sexual assault encounter between Aldrich and Beach from an employee. After the Blackhawks series-clinching win over the Sharks, McIsaac joined President John McDonough, Bowman, Executive Vice President Jay Blunk, Assistant General Manager Kevin Cheveldayoff, and Quinville, and team counselor Jim Gary to discuss the incident. Bowman recalled McDonough and Quinville brushing the issue aside, with the former, Quinville, hoping to avoid bad publicity during the team's Stanley Cup run, and the latter running to ensure his team had no distractions. Can you understand that? These guys are in the middle of a Stanley Cup run, and oh yeah, by the way, here's news about a homosexual encounter with one of my players and a coach. Can you understand? Can you understand why they didn't want to address it at that time? Because at that time, it was a he said, she said. Beach said it wasn't consensual, but Aldrich says, yeah, he liked it and we did it and that's it. Now, they didn't say they weren't going to do anything about it. They said they're not going to do anything about it now. June 10th, 2010. A day after the Blackhawks Stanley Cup win, Aldrich allegedly made a sexual advance toward a 22-year-old team intern. Aldrich physically grabbed the intern during the encounter, according to the report. June 14th through 16th, 2010. Human Resources get involved. Now, although McDonough told Blackhawks Human Resources about the alleged allegation against Aldrich and the senior managers on May 23rd meeting on June 14th. 2 days later, Aldrich met with the director of Human Resources. Aldrich neither confirmed nor denied his role in the incident with Beach, forcing the director to give him an ultimatum: an investigation or resignation. After choosing to resign, the Blackhawks gave Aldrich a severance, playoff bonus, and a championship ring. Aldrich also had his name engraved on the cup, spent a day with the Stanley Cup, and attended the team's banner-raising ceremony the following season. Fall of 2012, Aldrich assaults 2 Miami, Ohio players. Aldrich sexually assaulted 2 men while serving as the Miami, Ohio University's director of hockey operations. Miami found Aldrich assaulted a Miami student who worked at the rink and a summer hockey camp intern, both after inviting have them sleep on his couch. Aldrich resigned from Miami of Ohio. March of 2013, Aldrich then assaults a high school player. So he's going down the list. So this Aldrich is obviously a sexual predator. He assaulted a volunteer hockey coach for a high school team. He also allegedly sexually assaulted one of the teenage players in a post-game party. Aldrich admitted his sexual advance toward the teens to police shortly afterwards. So he raised his hands and said, yep, I did it. September 2013, the Blackhawks HR Human Resources stonewalls Halton Police. Halton Police contact the Blackhawks Director of Human Resources for information on Aldrich. Now, the director refuses to offer any information on Aldrich other than his resignation without a subpoena. Aldrich was eventually convicted of 4th-degree criminal sexual conduct and involving a student. On February 13th, Aldrich was sentenced to 9 months in a Houghton County jail for his assault on the high school player. May 21st, 2021. We're getting very recent now. So we went from March 13th, 2014 to May 7th, 2021. The Beach, who was then unnamed and referred to as John Doe 1, filed a lawsuit against the Blackhawks for their failure to punish Aldrich and his alleged assault in 2010. June 2021, the Blackhawks began an independent investigation. Now, Chicago hired former federal prosecutor Reddy Shar to conduct an independent investigation into Beach's allegations. The investigation released Thursday found